Yo, what's up squad? Welcome back to the episode of Walkthrough Wednesday. Today I'm going to show you how I did this. So as you can hear, I've took a cool sound, but it sounds pretty basic. This is not the kind of lead that you would hear in a Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike W&W Blasterjack's track, right? It just lacks that energy, it lacks the power. So you probably can't see my face again because, yeah, I'm having a nightmare with my internet. You guys know this, we've been waiting for this demo drop for a long time. It will be feedback, but also if I find some cool stuff for the label, then, you know, it's a win-win. So basically, I can't really use my green screen at the moment in my parents' house, which is where I've been producing for like 8 years, because I've basically moved out. So there's not much space in the office that I used to use. But I think we are still on track for the demo drop next week. Make sure to get your demos into the Discord chat by Tuesday. If you're not part of the team, then unfortunately you can't get your demo checked. But you don't just have to be a member this month. If you've been a member ever, you can join the Discord. So join the Discord, help support an unemployed producer, and also get yourself the OG sample pack and all of these walkthroughs, including the full version of this. So I asked what you guys wanted to see in the Discord, and the most responses were based around powerful leads. I don't think it's too hard to find a unique lead nowadays, or a cool sounding lead, should I say, because Nexus is so developed now. You've got Serum banging out presets all the time, Silence still banging out presets, Spire as well. So nowadays you have so much choice and selection in terms of leads, so I don't think it's a hard thing getting this next level sounded lead. You've just got to know where to look. But basically, as I said before, Nexus and Spire and stuff like that are really at the top of my list. Couldn't recommend them anymore. But then what do you do when you got that sound? I know a lot of you guys will struggle with this part, so this is what I want to do. I wanted to, and this took me like 10 minutes or 5 minutes or something, right? Just putting together this mixer channel because I've used it so much that I just know what works. So we take this sound. It's a pretty nice sound, like a Dirty Dutch style saw. It's called Bass Berlin. So things I like about it, it's got that real grit to it. So this lead has already been processed pretty nicely. You know, it's been created by a professional engineer, sound engineer, and it sounds really cool. I really like the aspect of it, like the characteristics as well. It's very much like the Astromania style lead. So how do we go from that to this? Now, this is a lead that you would hear on one of the top labels, in my humble opinion. I think the first one without any processing, it's cool, but it just doesn't have the power. But then we bring in the power. So how did I do that? Let's go to the mixer channel. So we go to number 1, sorry. And we go through one by one what everything is doing. So I will say the two most important things to focus on here is Trash 2 and FabFilter Saturn. They are two things, you know, distortion and saturation, that most new producers won't touch. They just think Camel Crusher, yeah, even the Blood Overdrive, yeah, sick, but they don't touch the saturation and the distortion. What you want to be doing nowadays is taking these basic ass sounds and just distorting the life out of them to make them sound really powerful, because that's the way EDM has gone. It's all about the power in a drop, especially in big room. I mean, in house not so much. House is more about the groove, right? But with this, it's more about like the power and high-end EQing and all that kind of stuff. So we'll go through one by one what things do, and you'll notice which ones are the biggest players in this mix. So here is with nothing on. Camel Crusher, obviously, I love to boost the volume with this. Got a little bit of a crisp to it. You've got the tube, slight tube distortion with the British Clean preset. I haven't got full on the mix. You've got to be careful that you don't overdo it. When you're distorting and things like this, you don't want to distort too much or it will just sound ugly and ruined. So because I knew I was going to distort later on, I left this pretty low. Still a little bit because I want to distort from different plugins and just really do as much as I can. Next we go onto the Blood Overdrive. So the Blood Overdrive right now, similarly, I haven't really used too much of it. All it's doing is like giving it a little bit of distortion, preamp distortion, and it's giving a little bit more in the mid section. I think that's super important nowadays, having a thick sounding lead, and the way it sounds thick is especially like trying to boost those mids and getting them quite full. So then we go on to the big boy. It honestly sounds like you've slapped another layer on top of it. Like it just gives it way more power instantly. And what I've used is the clip control. I struggle to use the other ones. I find them quite hard to control. Mind the pun. But the clip control is actually quite easy to control. I haven't even touched anything with the mix. I just felt like it worked. But obviously play around with stuff. I did change this. You can modify this to get the distortion the way you want it. But that's the way it kind of settled for me. Then we jump onto Saturn. So with the Saturn, I really wanted to focus on the mid section. I've really gone hard in the mid section. Mid section for me is the section that everybody leaves out. When you start producing, you think, oh, these crispy high end, oh, I need as much high end as possible. I did the same. You know, if you check my track Ecuador, it's just high end completely. I didn't really have any regards for the mid section, but nowadays, I use W&W as a reference a lot because W&W have that like real solid mid section where it just sounds so fat and thick. So that's all I wanted to do. I created 3 separate bands here. Didn't touch the low end. I just don't want to distort the low end. But I wanted to distort the mid section here with I used a warm tape here and a clean tape on the high end. A little bit less on the mix and a little bit more drive than the mids. But as you can see, I'm boosting here and I'm boosting here. But it's such a big difference, these two. But as you can hear, we don't really have much high end now, so we've got to introduce some high end. And this is the way I like to do it. As you can see, I've gone crazy on the mid section as well.